to 900 BCE. Now, how did that stone get into New Mexico? Because the 10 tribes of Israel settled in North America.
Right.
So Columbus did not discover America.
Hallelujah.
Solomon's kingdom, because
That's
if you
right.
read 2 Kings, it says, all the kings of the earth brought gifts and presents to Solomon. All the kings of the earth, all the lands of the earth, the 10 tribes of Israel migrated to North America even before the American Indian was ever here. And I can prove it. If you read my writings, you'll know that I'm telling you the truth.
Now this is true history.
Baruch
This is
Hashem
true
Yahweh.
history.
How did we find the 10 Commandments in ancient Paleo-Hebrew in the Las Lunas stone, which you can go on the internet, look it up, Las Lunas, New Mexico. It has the 10 Commandments, and P.S., it has the beautifully preserved Paleo-Hebrew Yud Hey Vav Hey, the Tetragrammaton.
1,000 years.
Columbus did not discover America. He discovered Yeshua, and he discovered he was Jewish. And as a Jew, he was thrown out in the infamous Spanish Inquisition. Now listen to this. The King of Spain announced a deadline for Jews to leave or die. Let me alter that. Leave, convert, or die. Okay? They can leave Spain like Columbus did, convert to be a good Catholic. Who's laughing? Or die. Well, that's a great multiple choice. That's great. Convert, leave Spain, or die. So Columbus chose to what? Leave Spain. Columbus was the one who fled and rediscovered America. In 1492, the Spanish Inquisition was announced on the 9th day of the 5th month. And every Jew would be expelled from Spain if they didn't convert to Catholicism. (1496). France had expelled their Jews. Marilyn, please. France had expelled their Jews, what, the 9th of the 5th month? France had expelled their Jews on the 9th of the 5th month. But wait! Another country wants to join the action. Portugal. Do you have any Portuguese? Falei português. Ted, you falei português? Don't even know what it means, brother. You do know what it means. So speak in Portuguese. There you go. And of course, Portuguese went to many nations. Brazilians don't speak Brazilian, they speak Portuguese. Falei português. Thank you. 1496. Portugal, listen, expels all his Jews. No notice, just gets rid of them. The Spaniards gave him notice. Come on. Portugal didn't give him any notice. Portugal expels all Jews in 1496. 4 years after the Spanish Inquisition. Most people don't know that. 4 years after the Spanish Inquisition, the Portuguese kicked out all the Jews, and they were thrown out on the 9th day of the 5th month.
To the day.
The 9th day of the 5th month.
4 years later. Let's fast forward about 500 years to 1938. 1938. How many have ever heard of a man by the name of Eichmann? Adolf Eichmann. Adolf Eichmann had a very special calling in his life. His calling was to draw up fine blueprints, which methodically and quickly, with great numerical precision, would kill as many Jews in one shot as possible. He was commissioned by a man named Adolf Hitler to come up with a plan that would not only exterminate the Jews en masse and commit genocide against an entire race of people, but also ensure that Europe remain Judenrein, which means free, cleansed of Jews. Judenrein, cleansed of Jews. Adolf Eichmann was given the blueprints by Hitler, actually the commission by Hitler, drew up the blueprints for the final solution of the Jewish problem, which of course The Jews are always a problem to those who don't live righteously and those who live unjustly. The Jewish people in their midst are a reminder that Yahweh lives. Because though they've been disobedient, though they've backslidden, though they've walked away from Yahweh, Yahweh says, the greatest proof of my existence is Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yehuda Chai, the people of Judah live. And so people don't like to be reminded of Yahweh's existence, and in order to get rid of the reminder of their sin before Yahweh's set-apart existence, they can't get rid of Yahweh, so they go after Yahweh's people. People want to know the root of anti-Semitism. It is S.A.Tan. Satan hates the Jews. Because as long as there's one Jew on this earth, Satan is reminded of his future. And it's a very hot future. That's why we call him Satan. Amen. Because we know in the lake of fire what's going to happen to his toches. When you hear that sizzling sound, when you hear that sizzling like you hear a hot steak sizzle on the fire, that's Satan's cheeks. That's why he's tanned. Because he's going to be in the fire for an awfully long time. And there's no Jubilee for that dude. How many know Yahweh has not ordained a Jubilee for S.A.Tan? Turn to your neighbor and say, nada Jubilee por Satanás.
Fue más linda Jubilee.
So Eichmann was on commission by Hitler to draw up the plans for the genocide and the final solution of the Jewish people. The plans, now listen to this now. The plans were presented to Adolf Hitler by Adolf Eichmann in his office in Berlin in 1938 on the 9th day of the 5th month. The official approval of the plans for the mass extermination of the Jewish people was given to Hitler's office on the 9th day of the 5th month. Turn with me, please, to the book of Ivrim. The book of Ivrim. Far too many coincidences for them to be true coincidences.
That's true.
Far too many. Portugal, Spain, France, Crusaders, blood libel, Bar Kokhba defeated, the buildings of Jerusalem destroyed, Solomon's temple destroyed, Zerubbabel's temple destroyed. Far too many coincidences. Far too many coincidences.
That's right.
For this not to be the hand of Yahweh. Now you may say, why did Yahweh allow all these tragic things to happen to our people? And they are our people. Ephraim, this is your people. Because if you haven't noticed, you don't have a temple either. And if you don't notice, you're in exile also. And if you notice, you're speaking the languages of the nations also. And if you hadn't noticed, most of your brothers and sisters are wayward and away from the eternal ordinances of Yahweh. They are not law, they are eternal instructions of a loving Heavenly Father, because Yahweh says these are my feasts, they're not Jewish feasts, they're my feasts, and they are eternal.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Yes. And his feast.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Go with me to Ivrim, please, Hebrews 8, verse 2. Ivrim 8:2. Yeshua today serves in the set-apart place, the true tent or temple which Yahweh set up and not man. For every high priest is appointed to offer gifts and slaughters, so it was necessary for this one to have something to offer. For if indeed he were on earth, he would not be a priest, since there are Kohanim after the gifts who offer gifts according to Torah, who serve as a copy. The temples that were destroyed were copies of the heavenly temple where Yahshua now ministers. And Moshe was warned when he was about to make the Ohel in the Midbar. Yahweh said to Moshe when he was going to make the Ohel, see that you make all according to the pattern shown you in the mountain, so that the heavenly temple is the real McCoy. I'll say that again.
Amen.
The heavenly temple is the real McCoy.
It's the real one.
And so Yahweh, the foolishness of Elohim, is wiser than the wisdom of man.
Amen.
Because he knew men can destroy his dwelling place among men, but men can never destroy his dwelling place in the heavens.
Amen.
So even here we see Yahweh making provisional planning as a backup for the events of the 9th day of the 5th month. He built his temple, and it's yet to be destroyed. And there's no Babylonian, Roman, or Vespasian, or Hadrian that can tear down this temple. Amen? Because who's the high priest in this temple? Yahshua. Who's the father, who's the caretaker of this temple? Abba Yahweh. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Look at verse 11. Ephraim 9:11. But Moshiach has become a high priest of coming good manners through the greater and more perfect tent. Notice, more perfect than the two temples destroyed on the 9th of the 5th month. Not made with human hands, that is not of this creation. Yeshua has entered into the most set apart place, once and for all, not with the blood of goats and calves, but with his own blood, having obtained everlasting redemption. So today's temple, where today's blood, the blood of atonement, is being given on the altar, cannot be destroyed. So now we're going into a different mode. Turn to your neighbor and say, different mode.
Different mode.
Not code, mode. Yahweh has declared to us through Barnabas, the writer of Ephraim, or Rav Shaul, that there's a temple that can never be destroyed. And this temple is in the heavens. It has been perfected because Yahweh is the builder, and his son is the priest, and no unclean and unholy thing can enter into that set apart place. So even for the tragic historical events of the 9th day of Av, or the 9th day of the 5th month, Yahweh has always had an answer to those tragic events. Are you with me? Yes. So now we see the tide turn. What happened after the 9th of Av, 1938? What happened to Eichmann? Eichmann was captured, kidnapped, and brought to Israel. He was tried in Israel, and he went to death. He was hung in Israel. So now Yahweh begins in the 1960s to turn the events of all the tragedies of our people. Not just the Jewish tragedy. Ephraim, this is your tragedy. Because if Judah was home, guess where you'd be? Home. One of the reasons you can't get home now is because Judah's not home, rebuilding the temple. You've got Allahu Akbar sitting on the mountain of Yahweh. And if you go to pray, well, Rabbi, I'm just a little Christian tourist on pilgrimage. Good luck, sweetheart. You're going to need it. You go out there and start praying to your Elohim, and you'll be in custody within 10 minutes. And it won't be the Arabs arresting you. It'll be the Israeli soldiers, the police. Our people are not free. When you and I, as a Judite or Ephraimite, cannot go to Israel and pray at the most holiest site on this earth, which was a copy of the actual temple where Yeshua now ministers, without getting arrested, our people are not free. Amen. But Yahweh, through the renewed covenant, through the Brit Hadashah, begins to remind us that all the times, as Robert Zimmerman used to sing, they are a change. Remember that song by Zimmerman? Oh, yeah. Those of you who are not cool, Bob Dylan. The times they are a change. Remember? And the times began to change when Yahshua now brought the blood of the everlasting covenant and presented it on the Mizbeach, on the altar of his father, and said, this is the blood of the everlasting covenant, a temple unreachable by man's defiled, sin-stained, and sin-benighted ways, a way that is spotless and unreachable to a sinful, lawless man. And that blood speaks of better things than the blood of Abel. Are you with me? And Yahweh begins to provide the answer. And we see Yahweh not only providing the answer in heaven, but what is Yahweh doing now? How many would see the events of the 9th day of the 5th month as tragic? Tragic. Uncannily tragic. Uncannily tragic. All those things, blood libel, crusades. And isn't it true all these events that began on the 9th day of the 5th month continue to this day? Aren't Jews being killed by other religions? Aren't Jews being accused of blood libel? Aren't Jews being thrown out of Morocco? Aren't Jews being thrown out of North Africa? Aren't Jews being thrown out of Algeria? Do you know Algeria is one of the richest Jewish communities in North Africa, a Muslim nation? Today, they're disappearing. They're coming here. Everything that, all these events that commenced on the 9th day of the 5th month are continuing. But so is the temple that is undefiled, not of this earth, not reachable by the hands of creation. But now it gets interesting. Now it gets interesting. I was just testing the speakers. Don't worry. Turn with me, please, to Zechariah. Is anyone enjoying?
Yes, amen.
I said, is anyone enjoying?
Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Zechariah. I told you she's on commission. Zechariah 8:19. Zechariah, Zechariah 8:19. If you were to say to me, Rabbi, I think you've proven historically that this is a holiday of the Jews and a terrible commemorating day of the tragic events of the house of Judah. You've convinced me of that. But it's not biblical, brother. Well, first of all, we saw Yeshua say it was biblical. He said, he prophesied the destruction of what? Zerubbabel's temple, later rebuilt by Herod. He prophesied it, so it is biblical. But let's play devil's advocate. Let's say, well, I'm an Ephraimite, and that's a Jewish holiday, and while I respect the Jews, it's not going to touch me because I'm into the Moedim, baby.
Yes.
I'm into Passover, and because these are the eternal feasts of Yahweh. We know Yahweh spoke those feasts to Moshe. We know Yahweh never reneged on those feasts. We know Yahweh never changed those feasts. So while I sympathize with you, Jewish Rabbi Moshe,
They're his feast.
I'm still testing the speakers. You're Jewish, and I understand you're touched. But I'm an Ephraimite, and I appreciate where you're coming from, Rabbi. But you can't equate a man-made day of commemoration, no matter how noble, no matter how holy, no matter how sanctified that day may be. You cannot equate a day commemorated by man equal to the feast of Moshiach, Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot,
Oh, Baruch Hashem.
Yom HaBikurim.
Let's go to Johanan and celebrate Sukkot.
Chag Matzot. Sorry, Rabbi, if you're going to go there, you're going to lose me. You can't tell me that this 9th day of the 5th month that just happens to fall on our weekly Shabbat is anywhere near as important. Isn't it you who preaches the eternal feast of Yahweh? Isn't it you who preaches that both Ephraim and Judah are to do the eternal written feast of Yahweh? So please don't try to bring this message this morning, no matter how good and how well delivered and how eloquent this message may be. Don't try to tell me it is as important as the feast. But I will tell you that.
Come on.
Heresy. Now, come on, somebody's got to stand up now. Heresy, bro. Come on. Watch this, brothers and sisters. Here comes the good news.
Yeah.
Zechariah 8. Zechariah 8:19. Thus saith Rabbi Moshe.
No. Heresy. It's Yahweh. It's Yahweh.
I wouldn't shout too loud, sister. You'd be on the unemployment line real soon.
He will be very soon.
Must be fair to say that.
Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, Yahweh Tsevaot.
Amen.
The fast of the 4th month and the fast of the 5th month and the fast of the 7th month and the fast of the 10th month. So there are 4, let's see, there are the fast of the 4th, the fast of the 5th, the fast of the 7th, the fast of the 10th. Okay? These are 4 Jewish. Forget about Christians. We're talking about Ephraimites. They don't have a clue why this is. How many Ephraimites do you know that are honoring the 9th day of Av?
Oh, no. None. Zero.
One's in this room.
Zero.
Thank you, sister. Front row student with a good answer again. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Yahweh says, here's what I'm going to do in the coming kingdom. Here's what I'm going to do in the millennium. I'm going to take The 4 man-made, hello? That's the difference between Hebrew and non-Hebraic culture. Non-Hebraic culture, Yahweh can't deal with. He makes nothing out of it. It's purely man-made. But even the things that are man-made that are near to his heart, he can turn around. Are you with me? Because they're near to his heart. Now watch what Yahweh does with this day in the kingdom when Yeshua rules on the throne of his father, David.
Hallelujah.
Thus saith Yahweh of hosts.
Yes.
The fast of the 4th, that's the fast of Gedaliah, which is the fasting for Gedaliah, or actually, I believe, no, it's the fast when they entered Jerusalem. Not destroyed it, but entered it. The fast of the 5th is what? The 9th day of the 5th month. The fast of the 7th, I believe that's the fast of Gedaliah, when the governor of Gedaliah was assassinated by Ishmael. He was a Jewish governor in the time of Babylon. They fast and remember the Babylonian captivity. It's called the fast of Gedaliah. And there's another fast in the 10th month, and I have to look that up, but there are 4 man-made fasts, one of them being the 9th day of the 5th month. Yahweh says, I will take those tragic... Is today a happy day, or is it a tragic day in Israelite history?
Tragic.
It's a tragic day in Israelite history. Yes, Rifka, you had it? You had something? Okay. It's a tragic day in Israelite history. But Yahweh says, nevertheless. Turn to your neighbor and say, nevertheless.
Nevertheless.
Let's try that again. Nevertheless.
Nevertheless.
These days are man-made. Yahweh says, nevertheless. Turn to your neighbor and say, nevertheless.
Nevertheless.
How many believe that the 9th day of the 5th month is a tragic day in Israelite history?
Yes.
How many also believe that these days are completely man-made?
Yes.
Yahweh says, nevertheless. Nevertheless, Yahweh says these man-made days are to be simcha, joy, and gladness. Now, hold on now. And pleasant moadim. Moadim. That word appointed times in Hebrew is moadim.
Yes. Very good. Oh.
Passover is a moed. Chag Matzot, unleavened bread, is a moed. Shavuot is a moed. Bikurim is a moed.